line through ManaTv. I have already circulated the agenda, the topics, the program schedule to our managers in the district, so you can collect from them. I am also going to show you the topics right away. So, these are the topics, as you can see from, I will just read out for you. As I said, it is spread over roughly 12 to 13 days, out of which we are going to conduct most of the sessions through ManaTv. Okay. And as I said, you can get this schedule from our representatives at the various districts. At the last few sessions will be conducted through classroom sessions. That means our representative faculties will visit universities and colleges, and they will conduct a few classroom courses. So, we will start the topics with an introduction or an overview of what this subject is all about, followed by today itself. In the second session, we will cover logistics system and decisions, and then we do warehouse management, transportation, forecasting, distribution network, inventory management, purchase management, network designing, strategic supply chain integration, supply chain risk, supply chain coordination, reverse logistics and cold chain logistics. We will cover a bit of port logistics. We will discuss the involvement and the application of IT in supply chain and logistics. We are going to discuss a few case studies. We are going to discuss about some very reputed and strong and successful companies and how they are applying supply chain to enhance their brands. And as you can see, the last couple of days or 3 days, we are going to have classroom sessions. We are going to have short evaluations in the form of MCQ, and then there will be interactive sessions as well. There is a small error in this particular session or in this particular chart from 1:45 to 2:45, and the second session will not be from 2:45, but it will from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So, what I have tried to do, as I said, 5 hours is actually quite short for a big or a large subject like logistics and supply chain management, but it is definitely going to give you a very good idea about this topic. And why logistics supply chain management? By this time you all know how important this topic is, how important this subject is, because what we study we want to apply in our career. So, there are a lot of career, and we are going to discuss this over a period of time during our classes, how important this topic is as far as our career and job opportunities are concerned. So, without wasting any more time, we will take one topic at a time. We are going to start with our first topic, which is overview or introduction to logistics and supply. How significant it is in our country, how significant it is globally. And I repeat, this particular first session would have been viewed by many of you during my visits to your universities and colleges, or you must have seen this last year when I was conducting the session through ManaTv, but doesn't matter. It is very important for us to see this again and again. We will have some video presentations as well, which is going to give you a live example as to how supply chain and logistics works in various companies. You please follow the sessions very closely, because at the end of the session, at the end of the program, you have small evaluation. We are going to pick up, as I said, this 25-hour session is basically to give you an idea about this industry. We are going to have an evaluation, and in the evaluation we are going to select successful candidates, and we are going to introduce those candidates to some advanced courses. During this session, I am going to upload a lot of study materials and videos in our portal, APSSDC portal website. If you want to download, if you want to see this study materials, if you want to download the study materials, please ask our APSSDC representatives in your colleges, universities, or whatever. I will share my email ID in case somebody at the end of the program, I will share my email ID. In case any of you find it difficult to download or any particular topic, please feel free to come back to me. But as I said, I won't be in a position to answer all of you. So our representatives are there to help you. Okay. So let's go straight away and see, and let me give you an introduction to this particular topic, which is logistics and supply chain management. So we go back to our slides. We have heard these terms, I think, by this time, and I understand that few of the universities, they have a few sessions on logistics and supply chain in their curriculum. So it is not a totally a new subject to many of you, okay? But quite often than none, we get confused of what is logistics and what is supply chain management. Even today, I see when I go around, I see this confusion there with many students. So I'll tell you what is the difference between logistics and supply chain. Please refer to the slide. Now, when I say logistics, I will start with giving you a small example. Since it's a very short course, we are not going to read out everything that is mentioned in the slide. So logistics plan, implements and control the effective flow of goods and services and information. And supply chain covers all the logistics. Logistics is a part of the entire supply chain process. Whatever you see around you is basically is a result of supply chain. I'll give you one example which can make things very clear to you. Now think of a vehicle company, an automobile company. So a company which produces or manufacture cars. I hope all of you can see this. They produce cars. There are various brands and models of car available today. Okay. What we are trying to do, we are trying to tell you the similarity and differences between logistics and supply chain management, and how logistics becomes a part of the supply chain process. A car is not made by a single company. There are various companies which are involved in making cars. So let's take whether it's Maruti, it's Honda, it's Volkswagen, it's General Motors, it's XYZ. They are manufacturing cars. Now they require a particular component. An automobile requires several components. So there are many suppliers to this company who's producing or manufacturing cars. So let's suppose there's somebody who's producing tire for them. There's a tire company. Now in turn, the tire has its own suppliers who's probably supplying rubber to this tire company. In turn, this rubber company also has somebody who's providing some kind of raw materials to this rubber company. So if you see, there are number of companies who are involved, and then only you get a finished product in the form of a vehicle or a car. Now if you go forward, there are dealers who take the responsibility of marketing and selling the cars. The dealers in turn, they have the customers or individual consumers or the end customers who use these cars, who drive these cars, right? Now if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's take these two companies, the tire company and the vehicle company or the car company. The tire company who's producing tire or manufacturing tires, he requires transportation, he has a manufacturing plant, he has a warehouse, he has a distribution center, he has a packaging center, he has a warehouse, etc., etc. Same, the company who's producing rubber, that company by itself is a company. This is a company, he has nothing to do with this company except that he is a supplier to this company. Same happens with this company who's producing rubber. He is producing rubber and he is selling it to the tire company. So, this company also has a plant, he also has his transportation system, he has his warehouses, he has his packaging, he has his different. So, everybody has their individual logistics systems. He has a logistics system, he has a logistics system. The car manufacturing company also has an assembly section, he has a packaging section, he has a transportation section, different. He also has his own logistics system. He also needs transportation because the cars needs to be delivered to the dealers. So, every individual, they have a logistics system. That means basically they are functioning, controlling the effective flow of storage of goods and services from this company to his customers. So, the rubber company is a customer to the raw material company, the company producing tire is a customer to the rubber company, the company producing car is a customer to the company producing tires, and so. And there is a chain. This entire chain is called supply chain management. That is it, to keep it simple. When they work together, when they coordinate with each other, when there is an integration between them, when they work as a family, it becomes a chain. The word, what is most important in supply chain management is, supply chain management is the word supply. So, everybody is supply to one another, and the chain that they are creating. There is more to learn, but as I said, in a 25-hour session overall, we cannot discuss everything, only the important and significant ones, and that is what you are going to concentrate on, right. Okay. We go to our next slide. The next two slides tells us about, now we say logistics and supply chain is a vast sector, the industry is large. Now, we are talking of who uses the logistic services. Today, logistic services required by almost everybody, particularly the manufacturing units, and we have so many manufacturing units, we have so many companies. There are just a few I have mentioned, whether it is Tata Steel or Samsung or Maruti Udyog or Volkswagen or whatever it may be. And who is providing logistic services to them? The logistic service providers. Logistic services means, as I have mentioned over here, it can be transportation, it can be warehousing, it can be packaging, it can be material handling. So, different kinds and types of logistic services. So, there are different companies, and few companies produces multiple logistic services. A company may produce both warehousing as well as transportation. Somebody can produce warehousing, transportation and packaging. So, but they are service providers. So, they combine together as customer, as a provider of logistic services and a user of logistic services. So, as if you can see, a logistics professional will find a career with both the manufacturer as well as with the service provider. For instance, when we study computer science, we find a career with service providers like TCS, maybe TCS. So, there are so many, Tech Mahindra or maybe Wipro, there are so many of them, IBM. But who are they providing the services to? To various companies, software, hardware services being offered. So, a computer science expert or a graduate, somebody can find a career with both the service provider as well as the service users. Same is applicable to logistic services. We go to the next slide. Logistic subsectors. As I said at the very beginning, I said it's a vast sector. What does it include? Warehousing, order fulfillment, assembling, transportation, packaging, reverse logistics, international supply chain, cold chain logistics, port management, very important these days, retail, e-commerce, data management, courier, packing, moving, material handling. So, these are the various sectors under logistics. These are the various functions which are provided, these are the various services which are provided under the broader gamut of logistics. So, do not worry, all this study materials in the form of whether it is a PowerPoint or a PDF will be uploaded, and you will have an opportunity of going through them. I will also refer books, I will also upload some very good, very significant and easy to understand e-books in the portal. Let us go back to our slide. Why is logistics so important today? And again, as I repeat, people that I have met before would understand what is more important to us is what is giving us more revenue, or which is very, very which is high in cost consumption. If you see logistics cost, when I say logistics, for every company, it is on an average in India 9 to 14% is being spent. Every company is spending on an average of 9 to 14% of sales. And if you see the country as a whole, then we are spending 8 to 10% of our GDP. To keep it simple, that if a company earns 100 rupees, he is spending on an average 9 to 10 rupees only on logistics cost, transportation, warehousing, material handling, etc., etc., etc. So, 10 rupees is gone only on logistics services. So, we need strong logistics professionals in our country today. If you see all the developed countries, and I need not tell you who the developed countries are, whether it is USA, Japan or Singapore or France or Germany, etc. They have a very strong supply chain network. They have a very strong logistics network, and which is helping them to cut cost on logistics services and provide better services to the customers. There is competition, and we are going in the same direction, do not worry, and that is the reason we are conducting this course. This is why these courses are conducted all over the country today by various institutes, various management institutes, various universities, colleges. Logistics and supply chain management is taught just because our country wants to grow. They are in the path of growth, and we need logistics service provider. So, this is why supply chain management is important, because it is consuming a lot of expenditure. So, our country is in the path of growth. We have understood that if we do not develop, if our manufacturing sector does not grow, then our country's GDP will not grow. Our revenue will not grow as a whole. And for the manufacturing industry to grow, it needs very strong logistics support, strong infrastructure, easy to efficient transportation system, efficient warehousing system. All this is required, because the customers' demands are changing in India as well. If you see, if you look at the options that we had 30 years back or 25 years back, and see the options that you have, just a commodity like cell phone, it has 25 varieties. Just see the number of cars you have. So, customers' demand are volatile, it's changing every day. So, people are also, you see any product, whether it's a washing machine or a TV or food product, customers' choice or demand is changing, it's very volatile. So, we need to have a very flexible, cost effective supply chain and logistics process. The manufacturing industry require a very, very efficient logistics system. This is the potential. I am going to share a few figures with you. These figures are close approximations. I am not saying these are absolutely correct. So, if you can just see the slide, the logistics market in India is expected to grow at 307. So, another 2 to 3 years, the entire logistics market would be worth $307 billion US. And the growth rate is very impressive at 12.17% CAGR, compound annual growth rate. So, it is one of the fastest growing sector in our country. We will go to the next slide. So the government has understood, and they are doing their level best. They are doing their part to promote the logistics sector, to support this sector. Logistics parks, logistics market, the Ministry of Shipping, they are investing on ports, on road sector, and this is the first time. So I would like to remind you something, that don't try to read everything which is mentioned in the slide. Try to listen and just try to see the major sectors, the major areas. If you see the last point, this is the first time that a special secretary has been appointed only to develop, only to support the growth in logistics, the growth in the export sector. A country's strength lies in the export sector. If you can manufacture products at a low cost, then your export potential will grow. So the government of India, the central government, is doing everything possible to ensure that incentives and investments are done in this particular sector. So in another probably 7 to 8 years, we expect our GDP to increase 3 times, and this is a survey record. This is not my record, this is not my analysis, this is not my statistics. And in order to do that, if you see, the manufacturing sector has to go from 15 to 25%. If the manufacturing sector has to grow by 10%, then this is the sector that needs to grow, that needs to develop. And if this is going to develop, a lot of investment is going to happen in this sector, and when a lot of investments are going to happen in this sector, a lot of job opportunities, a lot of career opportunities will also happen in this sector. And not only in terms of jobs, in terms of entrepreneurships, in terms of startups. So opportunities are not restricted to a job or just a paid job. There are a lot of entrepreneurship opportunities available. So this is the growth scenario. This gives you some idea about the logistics parks that we are having. I am going to show, and this particular video is a very favorite video of mine, and I am sure a lot of students who has attended my workshop seminars all over the state have seen this video, but this is my personal video. This is a vision. This video tells you about the vision of Andhra Pradesh, the objective of Andhra Pradesh, the growth path of Andhra Pradesh, and this videos also tell you that how logistics and supply chain will become a very key, important, significant factor in this growth. So let's go and see this particular video. So, basically we go back to our slide. So, basically what we saw, this is all that you have seen in this video is not happening immediately probably, but this is a vision, this is a dream of the state of Andhra Pradesh to grow. And almost all the sectors that you have seen, what are the sectors that we have seen primarily? Raw materials, manufacturing, aviation, food processing, ports and terminals. We have seen solar power. So, almost all the sectors that we have seen, they all require a very strong logistics setup. They all need very strong infrastructure. They need transportation, port management, packaging sector, transportation, material handling sector, good warehousing, good cold chain industry, because we have food processing. So, we need not look too far, we need not look even beyond our state. This video is just to give you an idea as to where a particular state is heading to, and what requires for that state to grow is a strong logistics framework. We go back to our presentations. So, this is the Andhra Pradesh scenario. There are also a number of investments being done in terms of power, airports, ports, developments of 14 major sectors. We have there is a proposed 47 companies, there are a lot of MOUs being signed, a lot of investments are expected from international companies. These are the sectors that we have seen in the video. This is one major breakthrough that is likely to happen. It should have commenced by this time. There is a proposed logistics university which is supposed to come up, and so you can see the importance that is given to this particular sector of logistics, that university is being set up just to deliver, just to introduce courses on logistics, on various areas of logistics. So, these are the Andhra Pradesh scenarios. I am going to share some statistics with you. I am going to share some facts and figures which have been surveyed by very strong companies all over the country. These are not sacrosanct, these are, as I said, close approximations, but overall you will see with this facts or with this information that I am going to share with you, that logistics and supply chain will become one of the most significant sector for job and career opportunity. I hate to use the word job opportunities, I would like to call it career opportunities, because it is not only oriented, because when we say job, it is particularly a specific job that you are working for a company, but today the youngsters, the new generation are also very keen to take up entrepreneurship, to look at entrepreneurship opportunities. They would like to start their own business, they want to become a startup, and logistics is one sector, but there are a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs and startups. So, we will see in the next slides what kind of job opportunities we have. Currently, we have approximately 19 million people who are working in the logistics industry in India, and in next 5 years, approximately 4 years or so, we need almost 80% more people in this particular sector. And what would be their functions, what would be their job roles? Sometimes we do not have a real clarity that if I take logistics and supply chain as a career, what would be a job role? The job roles are plenty. You can be a vendor manager, you can manage the transport, you can be the head of the transportation or warehousing or the freight management, you can become the operation manager or the supply chain manager for the entire group as a whole. Then you can become a distribution management or a materials manager. So, these are the different job roles that are available in the sector, in the logistics and supply chain sector. So, which are the industries? The industries which require logistics professional are manufacturing companies primarily. Then if you can see the slide, you have the e-commerce companies, you have the retail companies dealing in retail, you have the freight forwarding companies, the cold chain industry, inventory management, food processing industry, packaging and material handling industry, shipping, warehousing and distribution centers, which is becoming very, very important with the advent, with the growth of e-commerce. Then there are 3PL companies, export, import, couriers, relocation, packers and movers. And one beautiful thing about this logistics industry as far the job opportunity or career opportunities are concerned, it's to start with, it's challenging, it's difficult. It requires a lot of effort, it requires a lot of sacrifice from a particular student or a candidate, but over a period of time there are tremendous opportunities, and it is not restricted to a particular city or a state or a country. If you do advanced studies in logistics and supply chain management, then your opportunities will lie anywhere in the world, because the world as a whole is growing. There are many other countries which are growing very, very fast. Some of the Scandinavian countries, Latin American countries, some of the Asian countries, they are growing very fast, and they require very, very strong and efficient logistics professionals. So, I do not want to discuss too much on the salary structure. As I said, at the initial level, the salary may not be too high, but as I said, the industry is very large, and so the job opportunities are there not only for graduates or postgraduates or for people who have done their advanced studies, even students who are unable to do advanced studies, they have also opportunity. You have seen these e-commerce companies, you have these food delivery companies, you go to the factory, you go to the warehouses, there are people, very efficient people, trained people who may not have high qualification in terms of education, but they have also opportunities in the logistics sector to work as a delivery boy, as a sorting executive or whatever it may be. So, job opportunities are there at different levels of education. And as you can see, logistics and supply chain management is applicable to students pursuing management, engineering, or an executive who has already done his graduation, who is already working, an executive and working executive. He can enhance his level of skills in logistics. So, anybody he can, except probably people who are pursuing pure arts, this particular subject can enhance your employability. That is all I want to tell you, particularly in the next 20 years. This is one sector that an additional qualification in logistics supply chain management would definitely help you in enhancing your qualifications. Let us go back to the slide again. Lot of technological advancement are being made. We are going to discuss this separately, just to give you a broad idea. Automation, tracking of goods, Internet of Things, sensors. So, there are the manual operations or the manual involvement or the involvement of manual operations are reducing by the day, and lot of technology is applied in the various logistics functions. Now, different areas of so what does this logistics and supply chain management cover? What are the different subtopics? There are many subtopics, but we are not in this next 25 hours, in this 1 month, we are not going to discuss all the topics. This next few slides is only going to give you an idea what these topics are. We are only going to discuss few of the very, very relevant topics which will be useful for you. If any one of you who do well, people who will do well in this particular program in the evaluation, we will give them opportunity of doing advanced course in supply chain management, and there you will probably learn a little more. You will learn in detail, probably you will have industry connects as well, and you are going to learn. Right now, I am only going to share only the topics that falls under logistics and supply chain management. To start with, customer service. We all think that customer service is a marketing. Now, you have to understand the entire supply chain process, the objective is customer satisfaction. There is a lot of competition today. As I said in my previous, just when we started the discussion, that what is making companies make their supply chain strong? What is forcing the companies to make this logistics sector strong? It is competition, and it is the change in the consumption power. Today the customers or the individuals have more consumption power. They want the best of the services at the optimum price in terms of quality, in terms of delivery, in terms of after sales services, everything. Today the customers are king. So, as a supplier, as a company, everybody has a responsibility to oblige what the customers are asking for, otherwise you are out of the business. So, customer satisfaction is very important, and we have to understand this entire process is ultimately leading to the customer. The customer, he is the main cog in this entire system. So, various customer service during transaction, pre-transaction, when you book a shipment, you are expecting services. When you book a shipment, you expect the customers to explain the product to you. Then while transacting, and then post transactions, the different kinds of services that a particular customer is looking at you. The macro process of a firm, you have to apply efficiency in terms of order processing, in terms of the product, in terms of the services, the information you provide. Then as far as the strategies is concerned, the inventory management, the location, transportation, warehousing, these are the areas which leads to the optimum customer satisfaction. Now, this is one slide I would just like to discuss a little more, and this tells you about the traditional supply chain and the extended supply chain. Now, here if you see, if you just go back to this board for a while, this company, Tire and them, they are directly responsible for the final product, for the end product, which is the car. But as I said, today the business world is more complex, very complex. We are not dealing with just one or two brands or one or two varieties. We are dealing with a large network. Companies are dealing with large number of customers, not only in their country, outside as well. They are dealing with large number of suppliers. So, the supply chain process is becoming very, very complex. So, this is the traditional supply chain. But today, if you see, there is somebody who is also a part of the supply chain family over here, but who is not contributing directly in manufacturing this car. Who it could be? There can be a financial service provider, right? Today, none of the companies, they look forward to financial investments from, whether it could be a bank, it could be whoever it may be. If you start a company, I am sure none of the entrepreneurs or the startups, they invest money from their own pocket. Say they look for an investor. So, does this investor producing anything which is making this car? No. Now, in order to make this car, you need to design that car. You need an architecture. You need an architect. Sorry. So, who is going to design this car for you? Probably. You need somebody who wants to market your product. There is a marketing agent. So, now the supply chain is becoming more and more complex, and with the inclusion of all the companies who are indirectly involved in the supply chain, from traditional, we are heading to extended supply chain. It is not only restricted to a supplier, to a manufacturer, and etc. It also involves different companies. And if you see, go back to the frame, then there is a logistic service provider, there are financial provider, there is a business support. All this, just go back to the, let's go back to the slide once, and you see there are many companies who are indirectly involved in manufacturing this particular product, and all of them put together, they form an extended supply chain. Let's see the other slides then. We are not going to discuss everything over here right now. So, logistics system, which we are going to discuss in the second session, we are going to discuss what is this logistics system is all about, what does it include, what are the different decisions, important decisions that are taken in the logistics system. We are going to discuss a bit of inbound and outbound logistics. Very important, warehouse management, material handling. We are going to discuss the topic of transportation, again a very, very important part of the logistics and supply chain process of any company or the entire world as a whole. And when we are talking of transportation, we are talking of multimodal transportation. We are not only talking of road transportation or sea transportation, we are talking of multimodal transportation. We are going to see how cost factors affect our choice of transportation. Packaging is one very important sector in supply chain management. Information system, distribution network. You know that once a product is produced from the company to the customer, it is not a direct link all the time. You are dealing with a large network of customers, you are dealing with a large network of suppliers. So when you go up the supply chain, down the supply chain, then you may have dealers in between, you may have a wholesaler, you may have a retailer, etc., etc. So it depends upon what is your distribution network. How do you want to deliver your product from the company to the customer? So there are various channels that would be discussed. Sourcing, forecasting is very important. Sometimes, again, as I repeat, traditional thoughts or traditional ways of thinking about forecasting is a marketing topic. No more. Today, forecasting, unless this company forecasts correctly, this tire company will not be able to produce the right quantity of tires. If it doesn't forecast correctly, then this company will not be able to, and we are going to discuss that in detail when we do our section in forecasting day after tomorrow. But forecasting is a very important topic in the entire supply chain course. The drivers of supply chain, inventory management, again a very, very important section topic under supply chain management. We are going to see why inventory, why do companies create inventory, what are the various costs of inventory, how a good or bad inventory can spoil a company's reputation. We are going to discuss what are the factors that influence the setting up of facilities for a particular company, which is called network designing. We are going to discuss a bit of global logistics. Again, as I said, whatever I have gone through, whatever slides I have gone through, it's not necessary that we will discuss all the topics in the next 25 hours. I have selected few of the topics only. This is basically to show you what all areas put together they make supply chain as a whole, supply chain management as a whole. So I will just come back. We have we talk of lean and agile supply chain. By lean supply chain, company wants to avoid wastage of resources. By agile supply chain, company wants to be more customer centric. They want to see what the customers are asking for, but this is not one of the topics that we are going to discuss. Supply chain finance, people may think this is finance. No, you are dealing with, if you remember, our overall cost is 10%. If I am earning 100 rupees, then I am spending 10%. So think of a company whose revenue is say 50,000 crores. So 10% of 50,000 crores is 5,000 crores. And who's spending this 5,000 crores? The logistics division of that particular company. So the logistics managers, the chief of logistics or the chief of supply chain, they need to know how to control the cost in that particular sector. So that part of finance forms the supply chain finance, which probably is not a part of our actual curriculum in this particular course. Cold chain logistics, of course, we are going to discuss. We have 2 sessions on cold chain logistics and reverse logistics and port management. By cold chain logistics, I need not tell you, to retain the quality and to maintain the quality of a particular food item, cold chain industry is growing in our country because a lot of food processing industry, the food processing industry is flourishing, and to support that, the cold chain logistics will also grow. But we are not going to discuss more about cold chain logistics because we already have 2 sessions at the end of this course. Reverse logistics, when a shipment is delivered, simple, and it is found faulty, or it needs repair, or it is damaged, or it's under warranty, or whatever it may be, or if it is provided in rental, it has to be sent back, or there is a refilling, or there is a waste product, the shipment comes back or the product comes back to the company or the plant. So, it is the reverse logistics, and how it happens we are going to discuss in one of our sessions later. In India, these are the, now I would like you to see this particular slide. You have to understand where logistics and supply chain is heading to. What are the major topics, advanced topics, which are going to be important as far as logistics, not only in our country but globally. The blockchain, artificial intelligence, delivery of choice, elastic logistics, perfect order deliveries, drones, and data driven logistics. We have a second session, so I would like to pause here for a while and then come back after say 10 minutes. So, it's 10 to 3 now, so we will start the second session at 3 o'clock. So, bear with me, and I will discuss a little more on the logistics trend, and we go to our second chapter. If you remember, our second chapter was, as was shown at the very beginning, the first slide was logistic systems and decisions. That will be the second chapter for today. Okay. So, thank you very much. I will see you on the other side of this particular break. Welcome back. Before we proceed further, I would like to all of you to just for a few minutes to see this slide, which tells you about our schedule, our program schedule, and I want all of you to make a note of the dates and the timing, please. Just see the slide. I will read out for you. It's second, that's today, 3rd, 4th, 9, 10, 17, 23, 27, 28, 29, 30. I repeat, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 9th, 10th, 16th, 17th, 23rd, 27th, 28th, 29 and 30. Except for 29 and 30, except for 29th and 30th of April, which has been scheduled for classroom courses and evaluation, every day there will be 2 sessions. The first session will be from 1:45 to 2:45, and there will be a gap of 15 minutes, and then we will have a second session from 2:45 from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. As I said at the very beginning, there is a small error in that slide that I have shown you in terms of timing. So, I repeat, every day it is 1:45 to 2:45 and 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, with a 15 minutes gap in between the 2 sessions. Is that clear to all of you? Okay. And I hope by this time you have all made a note of the dates, and every day the sessions will be delivered through ManaTv at the same time, and I request all of you to be ready with some kind of you should prepare yourself to take some notes, and of course, you will have the study materials uploaded, and I will probably start uploading the study materials. Those who are already registered, you will find some study materials already uploaded, some study materials or videos already uploaded, but study materials based on this particular session I will start uploading after I finish 2nd, 3rd and 4th. So, 4th evening onwards till 9th I will upload all study materials for whatever I cover on 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and that is how I am going to do. so that after every 3 days you will get some time to study. And as I said, this is not an extended program. So, you need to look at the most important things. I will share my email ID at the end of it, I repeat, where some critical questions can be asked to me and I will come back to you. Okay, so, we go back, let us go to the slide and let us go back to the slides that we were discussing. We will quickly go back. Our last slide, which is very important. I am not expecting you to know everything about So, I was talking of before we went for the break, the various areas in logistics which are going to be extremely important in the days to come. I do not expect you to learn, you can of course you do that. This will not be taught or this will not be discussed at length in this 1 month course, but you should know what all those areas which are becoming very, very important, so that you can try and score well and be eligible for the extended courses that we are going to offer to successful candidates. So, let us see the slide. What are these areas? Blockchain. I think by this time you all know what blockchain is all about, what is Bitcoin is all about, digital currency, how it is helping to transact well without errors, artificial intelligence, self-driven cars, delivery of choice. What is delivery of choice? Now, when you buy an item online, you can choose the item that you want to buy, whether you are buying a shirt, you are buying a trouser, you are buying a watch, you are buying a mobile phone or a TV, etc., etc. So, you can select what you want to buy, that is your choice. In future, the delivery will also be of your choice, that you can select a particular delivery agent or a company yourself. That means the delivery will not be left on to, you may be confident about X company because you know he delivers well, there will be no damages, it will be delivered on time, you have good coordination, whatever it may be. So, delivery will also be of your choice. So, if you remember, when we started discussing about the various topics under supply chain, the first topic was customer. Today, customer is the king, the customer is most important. So, all the choices will be given to the customer in terms of product, in terms of delivery as well. Elastic logistics. Today, every supply chain organization, now the problem today is that the life cycle of a product is becoming shorter and shorter, because the customer change is volatile, the customer's demand is changing. So, today a particular cell phone, a type, a brand or whatever the features that cell phone has, tomorrow it become obsolete, and that applies to anything, even for a car as well, for a particular food item as well, for a particular perfume as well, for a particular TV model as well. So, it is changing. So, you see the supply chain has to adjust. Earlier what was happening, there was one single product, there were just few varieties of product, the varieties were very limited, the brands were limited. So, now the companies have to be elastic. What do you mean by elastic? They have to be flexible, they need to make their supply chain process flexible, production system flexible, distribution system flexible, transportation system flexible, supplier selection has to be done accordingly. Then comes perfect order deliveries. What do you mean by perfect order deliveries? A delivery does not only mean when it was delivered, it is not only the time which is relevant over here. Whether it was delivered on time, whether the deliveries of the right product was done, whether it was in an intact condition, whether packaging was correct, whether the quantity delivered was as per the contract or as per the order, whether the item carried the required documentation, does it have an invoice, does it have a commercial invoice, whether it was delivered to the customer. Now, how will this happen? All put together. So, if you see this entire supply chain process has to be foolproof, there cannot be any error. It has to be absolutely efficient, and supply chain companies are working on them. Lot of information management they are working, technology advancement is happening. Without that, such perfect order delivery will not happen. I will not tell you what drones are all about, that is the next topic. What are drones and smart glasses? You know how deliveries at very remote areas are being made by drones, who can do automatic route optimization. Okay? If a life-saving drug is to be delivered at a very remote location in the Himalayas or in Uttarakhand, DHL will simply go and use a drone to deliver, or whatever it may be. Today, drone technology is becoming very important, and it will become a very integral part of the supply chain process. The logistics manager will use drones, robots, etc., self-driven cars, sensors, etc. This will come into practice. Everything may not happen immediately, because it requires lot of training, because any mismanagement, any lack of knowledge may lead into some serious trouble. So, but over a period of time, these are the areas in supply chain management and logistics which will become very important. So, accordingly you should start thinking in terms of your career opportunities. The last topic over here is data driven logistics driving anticipatory logistics. Anticipation is very important. We have as a topic in the next 1 month supply chain uncertainty and supply chain risk as one of the topics. So, these are the topics which are becoming very relevant. That is the reason I have selected those topics which are very relevant for today's world, for the today's industry and for today's business. Since the product life cycle is very uncertain, the demand anticipation forecasting is becoming very difficult. Now, if you cannot forecast correctly, then the entire supply chain will suffer. So, you have to anticipate correctly. You should know the demand correctly. For that, what that needs to be done is not what we are going to discuss in detail. I just wanted to share with you within supply chain management which all sectors, which all subjects, which all concepts will become very important. So, I just repeat for all of you: blockchain, digital currency, artificial intelligence, delivery of choice. You can just go back to the slide again. I am deliberately spending some time on this. Elastic logistics, perfect order deliveries, drones and smart glasses, data driven logistics which is driving anticipatory logistics. When you say anticipatory logistics, you have to anticipate, you have to predict the kind of logistics infrastructure you need to have. You need to anticipate as to how you need to change or revise your supply chain process. That brings the end to our first topic, which was the introduction overview. Before I go to the next topic, which is logistics system and decisions, I want all of you to make a note of my mail ID. I will leave this slide for a while before I go to the next topic. dmudeb@yahoo.com. In any case, you can always see this video in the YouTube once it is uploaded by ManaTv. So, you will have an option to see my mail ID correctly. As I said, I welcome as many questions, no problem, but I will only reply or address only those questions which are very relevant to this particular certificate course. So, now I go back to our second topic, which is logistic systems and decisions. Now, what is a logistics system? What makes the logistics sector? Let us go back to the slide. Now, the supply chain of a particular company is influenced by the strategies that are made by the promoters of the company. The vision and the mission or the strategies that the companies decide to which direction the company would go. What are the company goals? What are the company objectives? What would be the marketing plan? So, all these strategies, in order to fulfill that strategy, the company has to design its supply chain accordingly. Most of the management students today would know few of the strategies that I am going to discuss, but as I said, there is no harm. Earlier, all the strategies were supposed to be marketing strategies only or financial strategies only, but today supply chain management is considered to be the overall process how business is run as a whole. So, all the strategies, unless and until as a supply chain manager I do not know what the strategy of my promoters are, how would I design my supply chain management? If I do not know whether the management is willing to outsource the entire services, how would I design my supply chain system? So, first of the strategy, if you look at the slide, and I repeat many of the management students, and we are not going to discuss this in too much of details, and it is the push or the pull strategy. For people, for students for whom these two terms, I am going to explain it in a very simple way. Now, when you push a product, that means you are pushing the company product to the customers, whether you have a demand or not. You are pushing, you are trying to the customers, you are pushing the product to the customers. By pull strategy, you are trying to create a demand for the product. There are companies who do not want to create too much of a stock. In the push strategy, the company is willing to create a lot of stock, a lot of inventory, does not matter. And they would like the customers to buy, they would like to create, and so because they do not want the customers to wait. By a pull strategy, I am going to advertise, the company likes to advertise, they promote their products, and once sufficient demand is created, then only the company manufactures the product. So, the basic difference, push, even when without a demand is created, I am trying to push my product to the customers, I am trying to create a lot of inventory, and then I convince the customer to buy them. In a pull strategy, I create a demand for my product through promotions or whatever, and then once I have the demand created, I manufacture and then I make the product. Go back to the slide. Consumers usually pull the goods or information they demand. So, when it is pull, the customers, by way of advertisement, the advertisements make the consumers pull the product towards them, whereas in push strategy, suppliers push it towards the customer. So, we have a few examples of push strategy. Through promotion, through discounts to retailers, packaging design, maintaining a reputation of reliability. We have an example of mobile phone sales, manufacturer offering discounts on phones to encourage buyers to choose their phones. Pull strategy, a new type of, maybe these are some examples, there are many such examples. There are various examples of push and pull strategy. There are new variety of brand of children toys, but I do not want to, the company do not want to produce those toys immediately. They would first like to advertise, promote in the media through TV, and then when the children ask for the product, they create a demand, maybe the retailers are asked for that particular product, and then the company produces. The next strategy that the company may have is what is called integration. Now, if you come back to the board, we have this particular company who is the manufacturer. Now, this company receives a particular component from B, and he has a dealer who promotes and sells the product to the final customers. Many of you know, when we say integration, the word integration means to combine. If you look at the slide for a while, that is what it says. It is the alignment and coordination within a supply chain. It refers to everything to produce a product, from raw materials to manufacturing to shipping and support services. Now, how does ACE? So, there is a transport company. I will just add another element over here. There is a transporter, and then it is going to the customer or the distributor dealer. Now, in order to make that particular product, suppose he is making ice cream. Company A is manufacturing or producing a brand of ice cream. Now, B is a company who is supplying milk to him. Now, for a better result or for a better product or for a better control, just come back. This company B may be supplying ice cream to many others, X, Y, Z. In order to have a better control, company A may like to merge or may like to have a control on B by way of a merger, by way of a takeover, by making B a part of the group. This is what is called vertical integration, and this is called backward vertical integration. Same if there is a transport company who is delivering goods of A, there is a company who is distributing ice cream for A. Now, A may not get the required or the desired service level from this transporter, may not, because this transporter is also carrying goods for many other companies. So, if this company wants to have a control or he wants to acquire or take over this transporter, they will integrate, and this is called forward vertical integration. And this happens only with the units who are involved in this supply chain process, not anybody from outside, because he is actually producing the raw material to A and A is supplying to the customer. So, they are all part of the main supply chain. So, integration, vertical integration happens within this chain. Now, we also talk of horizontal integration. Now, what is horizontal integration? Now, A is producing ice cream. There is another company called B who is also producing ice cream. Now, suppose hypothetically, suppose there are 4 companies who are producing ice creams in the market, A, B, C and D. He is having 25%, he is having 25% market share, he is having 25% market share, he is having 25% market share. When does horizontal integration happen? It happens when those 2 companies merge, who are in similar business. Nobody is a supplier or a distributor to one another. He may be Quality Walls, just hypothetically, he may be Quality Walls, he may be Vadilal or Amul. If both of them merge, what will happen? They become a single company, A and B, and how much market share they will have? They will have a 50% market share, which is more than C and more than D as well. So if you see, this is also a strategy of a company. The company would decide whether to merge with B, take control on the transporter, or take control on the raw material supplier. In this case, it's milk. Whether the company was to first promote the product and then sell, or that they want to create a lot of stock, lot of inventory, and then induce the customers to buy, which is a push and pull strategy. So both integration as well as push and pull, that will help the company to design. So all these strategies help the company to decide what kind of logistics and supply chain process that particular company would have. That's the reason why it is important for us to understand, or at least discuss, these two strategies of push and pull and integration system. Let's go back to the slide, and we will have some examples of. So there, as you see, there are two types of integration: vertical and horizontal. The vertical occurs through the merger or acquisition of companies at different stages of production or distribution. Just come back over here, at different stages of production. This is where the vertical integration happens. This is the stage of production. B also may have a supplier D. So this is a stage of production. B receives material from D, A receives from B, and they produce the final product. And distribution. There could be a distributor over here, there could be a retailer over here, there could be a wholesaler over here. Merger can happen everywhere. This is where the vertical integration happens. If it happens from A to B, it becomes backward. If it happens from A to this side, towards the customer, it becomes forward integration. And what is horizontal integration? Let's go back to the slide and see. The process of a company increasing production of goods or services at the same part of the supply chain. Company do this by internal expansion, acquisition, or merger. That means when two companies producing the similar types of good, they merge primarily to increase the market share and to increase the volume of their production. It is called horizontal integration. Let's see the slides again. We have discussed what is forward and what is backward. Backward, when a company previously supplied raw materials to the firm, you can buy that particular company. In this case, we have discussed the ice cream company buying the company providing or supplying milk to him. Forward, vertical integration, which company takes control of business activities performed by its distributor or retail customers. That is the forward integration. Sometimes a company have a joint. He can apply both vertical integration, forward as well as backward. That means he can exercise control. If a company exercise control on both his supplier as well as distributor, then he is executing joint vertical integration, both combined integration, combined vertical integration. That means he has both vertical and backward as well as forward integration. Let's go back to the slide. This is what we said. What is backward? Just to give an example, what is a backward vertical integration? Amazon used to publish book. He was just a publisher. Now, as a publisher, he used to, there were many book suppliers who used to sell books that was published by Amazon. Now, I will go back, I am sorry, it was just the opposite, other way around. Not only a bookseller, but also book publisher. So, as a bookseller, when Amazon became a publisher as well, so he was a bookseller. Let us come back to this drawing. Without drawing a different diagram, let us assume A as Amazon bookseller. He becomes a publisher as well. So, whatever is published by Amazon's own company is sold by Amazon only, because these both the parts, he takes over Amazon publisher and he can sell all the books published by Amazon. So, they exercise a backward vertical integration. In the next slide, we are going to see example of forward integration. There's a company, a news channel company called News Corporation, and they purchased DirecTV. DirecTV was a satellite TV company. By purchasing DirecTV, now News Corporation, who was only in business of distributing news, so now by purchasing DirecTV, enabled News Corporation to use it as a medium to distribute more of its news, movies and television shows by managing the process itself. Okay? Purchase of DirecTV by News Corporation is a very good example of forward integration. So, here is News Corporation. Let us go back. If you consider this as News Corporation, and if you use this as DirecTV, so DirecTV now uses News Corporation to distribute as a medium. He will use DirecTV as a medium to distribute more of its own news and movies, because now DirecTV cannot distribute any other company's news or movies or television shows. It is acquired by News Corporation. We will give you more example. There is a company in UAE, in Europe. It is a project management company, very interesting, which will give you a very good example what is horizontal integration. Now, this is the European company. This company is in the business of project management. This is Europe. This is Middle East. Now, this particular company has got many jobs in Middle East, several jobs. What would this company do? Will this company establish his own branch over here? Will it spend money on infrastructure? Will it send his own employees from Europe to Middle East? All these are very cost consuming. It will increase the expenditure of this company largely. So, what he will do is that he will take over a company who is also in the business of project management in Middle East. In the process, this company will become a part of this company, and the company in Europe A will buy B and use B's infrastructure, manpower and everything to manage its projects in Middle East. That is exactly what is mentioned in the slide. Let us go back to the slide. One company in Europe and other one in UAE. The first one is with only 125 employees, second one with 25,000 employees. The company from Europe is receiving a high number of projects from UAE, but in order to develop them, they need more financial and human resources. So, B has 25,000 employees, whereas A has only 125. So, it cannot manage all these projects with 125 employees. So, he will take over B. B has 25,000 employees, So, B becomes a part of A and this becomes a horizontal integration. Both are in similar business. In reality, both are competitors, maybe in different countries, but still they are in similar business. Nobody is a supplier to each one another or a distributor to one another. A similar business. Project management company, project management company. They merge, it's taken over, B is taken over by A, and entire infrastructure and manpower of B is used in UAE. So, in the process, A wins a lot of projects without spending any money at all. Yeah, of course, there is a cost to taking over. So, this is horizontal integration. So, next few slides will give you a diagrammatic expression or a description of a push strategy and a pull strategy. If you see, when you see the push strategy, the manufacturer will push its product to the wholesaler or the retailers, and the retailers will push the product to the customers. In the pull strategy, the manufacturer creates a demand. He directly connects with the consumer. He does not sell to the customers. He directly connects to the end customers through promotion, thus creating a demand. The consumer extends this demand to the retailer, wholesaler and retailer, and the wholesaler and the retailer now extend this demand to the manufacturer. The manufacturer produces the item based on that demand. I think it's an excellent diagram. This explains everything about the push and the pull strategy. I would like to hold on to this particular slide for a while for you to get an exact. We are, as I said, and I will repeat, this certificate course is too short for us to understand everything in detail. As long as the concept is clear, we should be fine, because in future we will introduce many advanced courses to you. Let us go back to the slide once again. Logistics system. So, I said every company has their own logistics system. I started this discussion at the very beginning telling you about what is logistics, what is supply chain, what makes the logistics system. Every organization have their own logistics system, and there are three main activities of a logistics system. What are they? To process the order received from a customer. Once an order is received, they have to produce and create an inventory of the product, and then once the product is made or a product is manufactured or the product is created, they required warehousing, freight transportation to deliver to the customer. So, broadly, the three broad activities of the logistics system is order processing, inventory management and freight transportation. We go to the next slide. So, what is a logistics system? Logistics system, let us come back to the board. At the very beginning, if you remember, I told you that each and every company has its own logistics system. What does the system comprise of? It comprises of different facilities. Different facilities. What do these facilities do? These facilities perform different roles. There can be a plant. There can be a facility which is used for assembly. A facility may be used for distribution. A facility may be used for packaging. A facility may be used for R&D, and all this belong to one single company. So, that company has this logistic system who are connected to each other. They do not work in isolation. They work with each other. they are connected. So, if you see the slide, so facility can perform as a manufacturing unit, as a packaging unit, as a sorting unit, as a storage or a distribution fulfillment center, maybe a selling unit or a consumption unit, and there are many companies. This is just to explain you, different companies have different set of facilities which perform different logistics functions, and all put together, this makes logistics system of a company. This is the logistics system of a company. So, the logistics system of a company are, and as I said, it is not restricted to that, there can be other facilities as well, depending upon what the companies produce, what is the company's product, what is the company's services, depends. There can be a terminal, there can be a fabrication unit, different. So, they have different facilities spread all over the place, maybe within the country, outside the country, whatever it is. But that company's logistics system comprises of all these facilities. Each of them is called a facility, and all facilities put together makes the logistics system. Slide. So, you see different kinds of facilities, a manufacturing unit, a godown, a distribution center, a road trucking terminal, a warehousing, fabrication, transportation terminal, assembly section, packaging. So, different facilities. So, all this put together makes the logistics system of a particular organization. Next slide. As I said, function of a facility can be different. A particular facility can function as an assembly unit, a facility can function as a warehouse, maybe as a distribution center, as a transshipment center, transportation center, terminal, sorting, waste management. Today, companies are having separate facilities to do waste management, which has become very, very important for organizations to maintain what is called a green supply chain, which is becoming very, very important. We do not have green supply chain as a course in this particular certificate course, in this particular program, but let me tell you, green supply chain has become very important, because if you see globally, because of the global warming, because of the pollution, air pollution, what happened in Delhi, you have seen, it is not, Delhi is not in isolation, it is a global phenomena today, and most of the pollutions are created by logistics system, emission of gases, carbon, carbon dioxide, etc., etc., etc. So, companies maintain a separate logistics system for waste management, a facility for waste management. So, what are the decisions a manager, logistics manager is supposed to take? A logistics manager handles, as I said, 10% of the company's costs. So, obviously, he should ensure all capital goods, all plants, all machineries, they are used in the optimum way. They should ensure cost reduction at every level. They should also ensure that while they are ensuring cost reduction, the service level has to improve, because customers, we cannot compromise with the customers. Cost versus the level of service decisions, sales versus service, the optimal service level. These are basically the managerial issues. Logistics managers, the most important is cost and service. Now, mind you, this is very important for all logistics managers to understand. One is the key issue, managerial issue. As a manager, you are supposed to take decisions, important decisions. Now, for a logistics manager, suppose I am the logistics manager of a company and I have been told to reduce transportation cost. How do I reduce transportation cost? By reducing the number of fleet I have, by reducing the number of trips I am doing, right, the reducing the number of deliveries my vehicles are doing. All this will help me to cut down the costs. I will reduce the number of vehicles. If I reduce the trips, the petrol or the diesel prices will increase, but in the process I will be compromising on the services, which again the company cannot afford to do. If I do that, I will be out of the market. The customer will not accept me. The customer will not accept a delayed delivery. So, it is very essential for a logistics manager to balance between the logistics cost and the service level. There has to be a balance. How those are done will be a part of our extended course, or when you start working as logistics professional, you learn on your day to day functions and day to day work. Okay. We go back to the slide. So, logistics management is overall to control the inbound and the outbound logistics, which is not difficult to understand, though there are lot of things to learn about inbound and outbound logistics. So, as a manufacturer, inbound, anything that is arriving to that company, it can be raw materials, it can be components, whatever it may be. And how it is coming? Through transportation, through some logistics system. And when I say transportation, make no mistake that I am not only talking of road transportation, it can be coming by sea, it can be coming by air, or whatever it may be. And then outbound, there is a logistics system. Outbound, again transportation to the customer. So, inbound and outbound, and it is the responsibility of the logistics manager to ensure that both the services are done in an optimum way at optimum cost without compromising on the services. Sometimes we ignore the importance. When we discuss inbound and outbound logistics in detail, you will understand how various organizations give importance only to outbound and not to inbound logistics, which is changing very, very fast. Because inbound logistics, sometimes this company has to pay for the freight, and he has no control on this particular inbound. Now, if this is disturbed, if the inbound logistics does not happen properly, the outbound logistics, what happens? Very simple. You are producing a product, you are producing ice cream. If the supply of milk is not proper, if it does not happen, if the raw material does not arrive on time, if the quality of product is not good, then your final product will also be affected. So, all logistics managers, all organizations have realized this. So, today they give a lot of importance to inbound, and if the inbound logistic cost is very high, it has an effect on the product price. So, basically inbound and outbound logistics are one of the most important management area of logistics management. Let us go back. In the previous session, we did discuss what in the next 10 or 15 years, what are the sectors, what are the subjects which are going to be very important. This particular slide is actually telling you about the emerging trends in logistics. Globalization. There are more and more companies who are going global. When I say global, it does not necessarily mean that the companies are selling their products overseas. They are also importing raw materials or components from overseas. Then the other sectors which are becoming very, very important is e-commerce. I need not explain you what e-commerce is all about. There is a lot of information and technology. There is a lot of technology applied in logistics and supply chain. If green supply chain, I just discussed a few minutes back. This green supply chain management is an emerging trend. Data analytics. Today it is all about big data. How data are used to improve the supply chain process, forecasting process, delivery process, inventory management process, forecasting process, data, proper usage of data. So, logistics decisions, what are the decisions we have to take about? You have to take decisions about facility, how big they should be, materials, finished goods, where should I store, warehouse, should I buy a warehouse or should I lease a warehouse, where should I stock my spare parts, what should be my production plan, what should be the construction or the architecture of my warehouse, should it be stacked, should I create racks, how should I retrieve the goods, what should be my mode of transportation, should it be air, should it be by road or sea, should the vehicles, when I say vehicles, it is not our cars, our personal cars, we are talking of commercial vehicles. A lot of companies buy their own vehicles to have better control, but there are many companies today who are outsourcing and they are using vehicles of transport companies. How should I schedule my shipments? What should be the frequency? How should I route the vehicles to make sure that the transportation cost is minimum by ensuring the product reaches on time, etc. So, these are the various areas of logistics decisions. Now, there are basically, again I repeat, management students, you know basically that the stages, very clear 3 stages of decisions making. There are so many decisions taking in the logistics area. So, it starts with strategical, which is in the next slides will tell you what strategic decision is all about. Tactical, strategic decisions are taken at a very senior level, at the promoters, at the directors level, at the chairpersons level, and it consists of where should the facilities be, what will the financial resources, where should I get my funding from, whether should I outsource a product, which country I should export, who I should collaborate with. Tactical are done by the domain experts and which leads to about 6 months. The period of decision making or management decisions is about 6 months to 1 year. Strategic decisions may go beyond a year, 2 years or 3 years, and operational decisions are on a day-to-day basis. We will quickly go through the slides and see the different. So, when I say strategic, it is long lasting, designing of the system, whether I should insource or outsource, where should I locate my facility, any facility, what should be my capacity of my production plant, what should be a warehouse, how big should my fleet size, what should be my financial resources, performance objectives, how should I look at my competition, whether I should integrate, whether I should follow a push strategy or a pull strategy, what should be the mission of a company, etc., are strategic. Tactical decisions are midterm, as I said, it could be a monthly or quarterly, it may extend up to maybe a couple of months or so, and it involves the production and distribution planning and the resources I have, how optimally I should allocate my resources. When I say resources, whether it is human resources, whether it is my other resources which involves the entire logistics process, how I should allot, I should make optimum use of my resources. This slide tells you about operation decisions. I have deliberately skipped through a few slides because they are not relevant to our discussion today. Operation decisions are on a day-to-day basis. They are very narrow scope, like order warehouse order picking process, shipment vehicle dispatching, and they are based on certain detailed data. We will discuss a little more about before we start the next topic tomorrow at 1:45. I will come back and do a bit of recap on whatever we have discussed today. Thank you very much. We end our session today. As you know, tomorrow we have 2 more sessions at 1:45 and 3 o'clock. I will see you then with new topic and new subject. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.